What is up, guys? Wrestling Premiere is here. Another Survivor Series has come and gone. This one in particular, well, I didn't like it as much as I did for 2019, but it wasn't bad either. The problem was the fact that the SmackDown versus Raw matches didn't seem to feel important, barring the tag, Asuka and Sasha, and of course, Roman and Drew. I mean, what does Miz gain for winning the Battle Royal? Nothing. I know Roman gained something from his match, for sure. Yes, the pay-per-view, there was some cool matches there. I enjoyed 3 matches in particular, those being the New Day versus Street Profits, Asuka versus Sasha, and Roman versus Drew. Anyways, enough talk, let's get into it. On the pre-show, the gobbledygooker actually ended up winning the 24/7 title, which is quite bizarre. It makes sense since it's the 30th anniversary of his debut. But seriously though, the 24/7 title, I completely lost count of how many times R-Truth held it. He was talking about how this event was 30 years since the Gooker debuted and how the event was dedicated to him, not the Undertaker. I know some funny stuff. He comes in, rolls him up to win the title. Tozawa was there also, so it was clear that this story was going to develop later on. Okay, the dual brand battle royal. This match featured a bunch of stars, Jeff, Miz, Ray, Morrison. They definitely belong in the main show, but there isn't really a spot for them. First of all, I forgot Humberto existed. Second, John was the first man eliminated, which I found funny and sad, but who knows what happens in the future. The action was fine for the most part. It wasn't bad, but since there was no incentive, it wasn't that interesting. I did like what Chad and Dominic did near the end. They went back and forth. Miz was drop-kicked out of the ring, and this led to a mini-match between those two. They countered each other's moves. German suplexes, 619, and Dominic tosses him over only to get thrown out by the Miz himself. Obviously, as soon as Miz went under, I knew he was winning. The tactic itself is mostly predictable, and it's overdone in my opinion. Like, they should have just kept Miz in it. It's overdone and well known. Everyone knew Miz was going to win it from there on. It's not a bad match, but it wasn't interesting either. Also, I like Battle Royals, so it was an easy watch. The first match on the official show was the Men's Survivor Series match. Team Raw, AJ Styles, Riddle, Keith Lee, Braun Strowman, and Sheamus faced Team SmackDown, Jey Uso, Kevin Owens, Otis, Seth Rollins, and Baron Corbin. I loved how proud AJ was to see Keith Lee. Team SmackDown had some issues, as did Raw, but the Blue Brand's issues were very apparent in the first minutes because Seth Rollins sacrificed himself for the greater good and was kicked out of there. Like, his head was kicked off and he was eliminated. It was seriously the most random thing to happen, and I assume the greater good was this newborn. But yes, I'm curious to see where Rollins goes from here on, because I could see them turning him into a babyface upon his return. I don't know, but if he's a babyface, I'll be happy to see him as a good guy once more. Anyways, Team SmackDown never got over this. KO put up a good fight, but AJ from out of nowhere hit the phenomenal forearm. Corbin then got a shot in, but was quickly eliminated. Unlike the others, Jay actually took a finisher and kicked out. It was clear that everything was riding on this match for him, He was the captain, and if he lost, well, Roman wasn't going to be happy. For a small moment, I thought Otis was going to have the breakthrough performance, but I was clearly, and I mean clearly, wrong, and so remained Jey Uso. It was 5-on-1. I actually believed he could do it. He kicked out of a bunch of moves, but Team Raw were clearly too much, and so were victorious. Overall, the match felt quite odd. It was a complete sweep. I felt it was all about Jey redeeming himself in Roman's eyes. And the match, while it didn't feel as important as the previous ones, the action was pretty decent. Obviously, we all look forward to where the Roman family storyline goes from here on, so there's that. The next match was Champions versus Champions. The New Day against the Street Profits. Okay, this one was something. The best of the best. The best tag teams. New Day, the Street Profits. The match itself felt like a passing of the torch. The action, it was really something. They mocked each other, there was psychological warfare, and I just loved the match. Ford took the brunt of the action, got punished. He suffered, but fought through. Angelo comes in, dominates both Kofi and Xavier. There was teamwork from both sides, near falls from impactful moves, and I honestly didn't know who'd win. It was anybody's match in my eyes. Midnight Hour wasn't the one to get the win because Biggie performs it better. Ford's frog splash was once again beautiful. I love that moment where Ford steals Trouble in Paradise, and the Street Profits actually ended up winning this one clean. It was definitely one of their biggest, if not the biggest win in their young careers. Awesome performance from both teams, and it was my early match of the night. I also feel that Montez is going places. He has a deep amount of charisma and is overall talented. I'm just looking forward to the Street Profits' future. So yeah, what did you guys think of that match? Please comment down below. I thought it was awesome. I thought it was tremendous. I thought it was fun. I thought it was entertaining. I thought it was everything. Definitely one of my favorite WWE tag matches of 2020. The next match was Champion versus Champion. Sami Zayn, the IC champion, against Bobby Lashley, the US champion. I think we all like to forget about their previous encounters. This one, though, to me, it felt like Sami didn't feel like wrestling Lashley, knowing that if he actually does, well, he'll lose. That's how it was from my perspective. Even though he got some shots in the beginning, the match was mostly one-sided. Every time Lashley got into it, Sami never seemed to put in much effort to fight back. At one point, he claimed to have suffered from vertigo. He just never really got into it at all. He was desperately eyeing a DQ. He was fake tripping, trying to get rid of MVP and whatnot. He was trying to get Cedric to blast him. And he wasn't really focused on the match itself. He ended up in the Hurlock, and so was the loser. The match itself was average, and I think if Zayn was a baby face, it could have been cool, but I suffer flashbacks to 2018 when seeing those two, so I'd rather not see a match between them. But yes, average match. Wasn't bad. I feel like Sami didn't feel like winning it. Like, he didn't have an urgency to win the thing because he was fearing for his life. He was even writing things on Twitter beforehand, so there's that. Meanwhile, Jay was trying to explain things, but Roman didn't really care. He believed that Jay's loss means that they don't respect the family. He reached out so far to show how the guys don't respect his family. He goes, if you lose, they don't respect you, which in turn means they don't respect me, which in turn means they don't respect my family. He was going crazy. He was overthinking it, basically. Roman didn't want to see him. He wanted him out of his arena. Yeah, he called it that. We all know what happened later on, though. The next match was champion versus champion. Raw Women's Champion Asuka faces the boss, Sasha Banks, the SmackDown Women's Champion. You know, these two couldn't do any wrong. Going into it, I had no doubt that Sasha Banks was winning. It was a must in my eyes, you know, it's to solidify her title reign. The match itself felt a bit weaker to me than the previous matches, but still was pretty good. Both stars were going for submission holds, they were countering each other. Sasha was looking for the bank statement, whereas Asuka in the early going, you know, strikes. At times, she was targeting the ankle with the ankle lock, and things kicked into high gear after the double knees on the outside. Sasha was persistent in the attack, non-stop, and finally locked in the bank statement. The Raw Women's Champion escaped, and from there on, they found themselves in roll-up city. Back and forth, near falls, but then Sasha caught her off guard with a sudden roll-up to win the match. Great stuff once again. I felt it was a bit weaker than the previous matches due to the length. You know, I felt it was sudden, but I ain't complaining. I know for a fact that if they had 5 more minutes, they would have put on another classic. Sasha gets the win she needs to show that she's the woman. She's the woman of SmackDown, whatever. And I just look forward to where she goes from here on. I assume Carmella, but I look forward to the WrestleMania season. Meanwhile, the gobbledygooker lost the title to Tozawa. Truth from out of nowhere, Waxem steals the title once again. I personally lost count of how many times R-Truth won the title, but hey, gobbledygooker, 24/7 champion. Never thought I'd say that. Yeah, 2020, it's just crazy in general. Like, if you told me last year, say in January, that the gobbledygooker is going to win a WWE title, I think you were crazy. The next match was a women's Survivor Series elimination match. Team Raw featuring Nia Jax, Shayna Baszler, Peyton Royce, Lacey Evans, and of course Lana against Team SmackDown, Bianca Belair, Natalya, Liv Morgan, Ruby Riott, and of course Bayley, the captain. Now, this match featured some talent I liked. Obviously, there was the ongoing Lana and Nia story, so there's that. He tried showing the woman that she belonged, you know. But despite wanting to help, she wanted to win the match for her team. They bullied her, and so she cried. And it was the most WWE thing ever, you know, do well and all of a sudden get your legs cut from under you. There was a moment where everything was in a disarray, you know. There was a part where Peyton hit a suplex on everybody, and then she hit her finisher to eliminate the captain herself, Bayley. To me, that was unexpected because, well, it's Bayley. She was the biggest star in the match, and to see her get eliminated like that, yeah, it's out of the blue. She went on a hot streak until Bianca got involved to give way to Natalya, who locked in the sharpshooter, and so it was 4-on-4. Lacey comes in, misses a moonsault, but gets some help and hits the woman's right to send Natalya to the showers. Belair enters, receives a Spanish fly that looked cool, but luckily gets saved. Riot's squad worked as a unit to take out Jax, and she suffered so badly that she put her hand out for a tag. Baszler comes in, and there was some shenanigans. As Morgan tried getting a tag, Jax did what heels did, and in the ring, Ruby Riott countered the sleeper into a roll-up, but by the time the ref noticed, she had passed out, so Shayna goes for the cover to make it 2-on-4. Liv, though, quickly bounced back to make it 3-on-4, eliminating Lacey, and she put up a massive fight against Jax, but at a moment's notice, she hit a Samoan drop, and it was 3 or 2-on-1. So the EST remained. Bianca was well aware of the challenge and put up a fight. Smart, elusive, aggressive, and when Shayna came in, she was resilient. There was a cool moment where Shayna caught her with a sleeper, and she was putting up a fight. She eventually reached the rope, but she was passed out. Baszler didn't let go and was eliminated. So, 2-on-1 or 1-on-1, depends on what you think. Then Nia tried to send her through the announce table but failed, and they ended up brawling on the outside. Bianca managed to send her over the barricade, but neither succeeded in beating the count, and so Lana was the winner. Okay, I think we gotta cue the song Survivor. Nia was seeding, and I don't know where this is heading. Like, my gut says that she's gonna face Asuka in a title match and lose in like 2 minutes or something like that. Also, what's the bullying about? The match itself, I liked it. I thought it was gonna be like a launching pad for Baszler. I thought it was gonna be her coming out party like Keith Lee last year, Kofi in 09, Roman in 2013. You get what I'm saying, but it wasn't to be. Like, it was all for the Lana story. It was all about advancing the Lana story, so yeah. Not a bad match. I actually liked the match. I thought it was pretty decent. And the main event. Roman Reigns, the tribal chief, the universal champion, the man, whatever the hell you want to call him, faces Drew McIntyre, the new WWE champion. I remember a couple of weeks ago were making fun of Triple H, saying that this is WrestleMania main event caliber. I made fun of him. I think it was because he said it could be like Austin and Rock. But now that seems to be the sentiment many share, WrestleMania main event. I think both guys are great in their roles, they fit in. Unlike WrestleMania 35, where Roman was the babyface, Drew's the fighting champion that takes on all comers, and Roman's the guy who believes it's his lifelong mission to defend the family. I look forward to their future bouts because both men are at the top of their games, and two, they're the biggest stars in the company. Also, the match is such a far cry from that forgettable match at WrestleMania. In the beginning, Drew threw Roman off his game. His statement of right place, wrong time was being put to the test. Reigns took control after Drew felt some pain in his shoulder. It was utterly dominant, and it took Drew a while to make a comeback, and even when he did, Roman quickly shut it down. Then the impactful moves come into play. Spinebuster, Roman was speaking to himself, and it seemed like he refused to be upstaged by Drew McIntyre. They hit each other with boots, and Roman found himself on the receiving end of the future shock. Was it Claymore time? Nope. It's the Superman punch, and that's not even enough to knock him down. Felt like a war of sorts. Drew gets the Kimura in. Roman suffers for a bit, but manages to reach the ropes. It was anybody's match. McIntyre then got slammed on the outside twice, and the table finally gave in. Now, Roman could have beaten him by countout, but it wasn't how he does things, I guess. He speared the hell out of Drew through the barricade before sending him back into the ring for the cover, but it wasn't enough. Michael Cole was shouting, and I honestly never seen Michael Cole shout as loud as he did during this match. You gotta go check it out if you didn't. You probably know what I'm talking about. Tribal Chief still couldn't believe it. Drew recovers, kicks Roman in the face, but runs into a spear, but it still wasn't enough. Like, what the hell? Honestly, I thought that was it. It just had that feeling of a match finish, but he kicked out once again. Spear number 3 wasn't to be, and instead it was a Claymore, but the ref was knocked down. Jey Uso tried to get on his cousin's good side by interfering. Roman low blows Drew, and Jey super kicks him before the Tribal Chief went for the guillotine to win the match after Drew passed out. Damn, what a tremendous bout that was. This match, it was my favorite of the night, bar none. To see these two have such a classic match and look so damn strong, one of my favorite matches of the year, definitely. Drew McIntyre looked like the strongest man out there. Even if he lost clean, it wouldn't have hurt him in my opinion. Also, I look forward to their future bouts. You know what? I don't care if they have this at WrestleMania 37. I wouldn't mind it. You have Miz cash in or whatever, then you have Drew win the Rumble again or something like that, and then face Roman. I'm not scared of you. You didn't meet me last time, whatever. I just look forward to their future bouts. Like, they're going to have some of them, right? Also, if I was Miz, I wouldn't cash in anytime soon. Jey managed to get in Roman's good graces, and all was good from his side. Okay, it was time for the Undertaker's final farewell. Now, if it was anybody on the roster, this might have been a bit ridiculous, but somebody like Taker, nothing short of deserving. They brought out nearly every one of Taker's close friends, past and present, and he deserved the send-off, but I found it funny how they spent 10 minutes introducing the guys, and after the awesome video package, Metallica and all that stuff, they just disappeared. I mean, Kane was all dressed up for nothing. Vince McMahon came out to introduce Taker, and everything was befitting for the dead man. 30 years, 5, 6, or 7 eras, depends on your count. For me, it's Golden Era, New Generation, Attitude, Ruthless Aggression, PG, the era after PG, and the new era, from 2016 to now. Well, that's what I think. He had a great match, a great story in every single one of them. He faced Yokozuna, Jake Roberts, Bret Hart, Owen Hart, I believe, Diesel, Kevin Nash, Shawn Michaels, Stone Cold Steve Austin, The Rock, Hulk Hogan, John Cena, everyone. He acknowledged that his time has come up and he's got to rest in peace. He said that. They even had a Paul Bearer hologram. It was such great stuff, and honestly, I was glad to not see an appearance from The Fiend. I personally don't think this is the last of The Undertaker because the entrance has to be seen in the future with crowds, and I heard some say he deserves an entire Hall of Fame dedicated to him, and honestly, I don't disagree. 30 long years, the longevity of the character to me is completely unmatched. I mean, if anybody took up the character, it probably would have been gone by 93. I thought they were going to have like a different farewell, all the guys were going to come out and he'd be out of character, but this one's good enough for me. It did kind of feel off, but I attribute that to the fact that this wasn't his final farewell, so yeah. Overall, Survivor Series, it wasn't bad. It was kind of good. It was decent. 3 matches delivered and then some. The Street Profits New Day match, that was just something special. Asuka and Sasha, they can't do any wrong. And Roman versus Drew, what the hell was that about? Roman's talking to himself. Drew's fighting back and he refused to just give up. he was the man for me. I felt the other matches should have had higher stakes, but they're decent themselves. Lana winning was expected to some, and I really wanted to see Baszler win the whole damn thing. I thought it was going to be her night, her coming out party, but it wasn't to be, so yeah. My least favorite match was the Battle Royal. Even though I like Battle Royals, my favorite match was Roman versus Drew. That's my opinion on Survivor Series. I thought it was a decent event. It was pretty good. What do you guys think of Survivor Series? Please comment down below. And that's the first video. Make sure you hit a Superman punch on the like button and perhaps the Claymore on the subscribe button. Peace. I'm out.